couple of years ago, my friend John from Biddy Kong's Quest did a video basically talking about ugly games. And not like crappy shovelware things for the Wii, but like games that are physically not appealing, that aren't pleasing to the eye, that do not look as good as, say, a perfectly pristine copy of your favorite game. Insert game here. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome to Square Pegs. Glad you're here. And today I kind of wanted to explore that a little bit because I've noticed that over the years, I've gone from someone who wanted the most pristine, beautiful, clean copy of something to somebody who just wants to play the game. So I've got 10 games here, all in varying states of ugliness. Some of them are mildly inoffensive. Some of them are downright nasty. But you know what? Each and every one of them plays, and each and every one of them are valued additions to my collection that I really enjoy. And we're going to start off with what I think is the least offensive one, and that would be Super Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World. Now, if you're looking at this just on screen right now, you're going to say, Jay, that doesn't look bad at all. But if you look at the sticker label and things like that, it actually does have a little bit of scuffing on it, and the cartridge itself is a little bit yellowed. It's not necessarily that perfect pristine gray that we're used to from Super Nintendo cartridges. But the most important thing is that the game inside of it functions. And that's really all that matters to me, is something that I wanted to be able to play the remasters, the all-star versions of Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3, and the Lost Levels. And I was really interested in having the cart that had Super Mario World built in, because this was something that I didn't know existed until years after it released. I found out about it, I think, when I was in my early 20s, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't even know that was a thing. And I ended up buying this from my friend Kevin, who goes by Poke Wings at video game conventions. He's a great guy, great reseller. And it was something that I just really, really wanted. It plays great. It still does look great in comparison to a lot of other stuff in this pile, but I think this is a good place to start because this kind of sets a baseline of what a moderately ugly thing can be, even though it doesn't really look all that bad. Next up is one of my favorite games from Electronic Arts, and this is Jungle Strike. Jungle Strike is an amazing game. All the Strike games are amazing. They're really, really fun. They're very clever Genesis games that we didn't really see anywhere else, and I like that. Now, where this cartridge kind of gets its nicks is the fact that it's threefold, the problems here. We have big yellow pre-owned stickers on the label, which for me personally, I don't mind stickers on a game. That doesn't really bother me. I would prefer it if they weren't on the label itself, but hey, beggars and choosers, right? There's a tear on the label itself as well, and then there is a crack in the actual shell of the cartridge. And that's kind of usually where I draw the line, although over the last probably 3 years, it's been something I'm less concerned about and something I don't really worry as much about. I have a copy of Silent Service for the NES that is legitimately mangled. And while that is not an expensive game, why would I spend a couple dollars again to buy something when the game itself works? I don't really need to worry about it. Granted, that was something I got in a giveaway box somewhere. I don't remember what, so it's not like I was out any money anyway. But it's something where I don't need to replace it. And Silent Service isn't a game I would be seeking out to replace anyway. But Jungle Strike here is really nice, though. There's also a little bit of scuffing at the top of the label. That's pretty much consistent with most cartridge-based games, especially if they have a label that folds over the top, because that's where you handle it. So, you know, oils from your skin. Just general rubbing of it, just like, you know, friction is going to cause some issues there. But it's something where the game is good enough that I could replace this, and I wouldn't be out a significant amount of money if I did. But it's something where I'm happy with what I have. So why? Just stick with what you got, and it works. This is, for the Sega Genesis, The Adventures of Batman and Robin. And you can probably see the giant barcode. How could you not see the giant barcode? I just held it up to the screen. You see the giant barcode on there. This was clearly a rental copy. This thing has been beat to hell. And this one's actually, like I said, this is twofold. So you've got the barcode on the front. I'm pretty sure this used to be at a movie gallery here in town. And then there was also, if you look, there was another label on the top at one point that got ripped off, and they added a green sticker on there to probably categorize it for quick retrieval if there was somebody who was renting it. It is beat up. This is a little bit of a pricier game. It's not super expensive, but it's one that I didn't really need to spend a ton of money on. And when my buddy Chris found this for me, Chris from formerly Game Dad, now just Chris Carlson. He found this for me at a local meetup here in town and picked it up for me. And the main reason I was excited about it was not because of the game. The game is fine, but the thing that really excited me was the rental case, because I adore rental stuff. I love the history of a video game in that regard. Like, I love people who write their name on games. I love everything like that, because that gives the game depth and it shows that it was loved and why it was loved and who it was loved by. And I think that's pretty excellent. This one here, oh, Family Video, not Movie Gallery. So this is a rental case from Family Video. It gives you the control scheme on there, tells you exactly how the game is played, gives you some hints and tricks as well. It's a really, it's great. I love this. This is such a fun little take on a rental case. And while I usually only end up getting cartridges that have a sticker on them, there's a primo one coming up that is probably my favorite ugly game that I own. As far as, like, it's not ugly, it's got aesthetic coming up, but I love rental stuff, and I think that's really awesome. Next up is Pokemon Snap. And you might be looking at this saying, Jay, that's in great condition. And you'd be right, it is. I've even got the top label on it. It looks fantastic. There's a little bit of scuffing on the back label, but that's not really the problem here. Where my ugly game for this one comes in is the fact that this was one of my favorite N64 games, and even when I didn't own an N64, this is one that I wanted to own complete in box. And the complete in box I have is wrecked. It's absolutely mangled. There are stickers all over it, but it is complete and it's whole. And I'm going to be showing you some up-close footage here of kind of like the state of this cardboard box. And I think that's a really interesting way to kind of look at it, because as I get older and as I kind of abandon the desire to be a complete in box collector, because I just don't have the room and I don't have the desire to spend that much extra money on stuff. If there's a particular game that I do love, I'm okay getting an uglier box for it just to have everything housed in one spot. My copy of Final Fantasy is very much the same. The box is in pretty rough shape, but the game itself plays great, the map is great, the instruction manual is great. It's just the box that's a little bit rough. And I'm okay with that. You know, like, it's something that it doesn't affect the actual gameplay. It's just an aesthetic thing on the shelf, and that's all right. This is one I've had since I was a kid. This is one I held on to from my original NES collection. And this is DuckTales. And DuckTales is pretty well wrecked. The gameplay is great, but the manual, the label is destroyed. There's rips on the front. There's, I think it's completely missing on the top. It's 75% missing on the top. And it looks bad. It doesn't look great, but the gameplay itself is still fantastic. And this is one of those games that I can remember as a kid when the label ripped. And I can remember that it was a case of me just constantly playing it and popping it in and taking it out of my NES and not grabbing it by the little divot that you're supposed to grab it by, but grabbing it by the label and putting it in there, or trying to pull it out after I had kind of pried it out a little bit. And it's one of those memories, right? Like, it's not something that I really hate. It's just a thing that happened, and it's such a great game. Why would I need to replace it? You know, I just really love it. It's one of my favorites. All right, next up we have the most important ugly game I have in my collection. Not necessarily the most valuable, because it's not valuable. Not necessarily the most interesting, although I guess it could be a little bit interesting. And this is my copy of Batman, and I've showed this on my channel before. And you can see down here it says Bronson Childlife, and there is a hole punched through the cartridge as well. I found this at a local shop when I had first moved up here, and I've been wanting a copy of Batman for the NES, and I found this one, and I just thought that was really cool, because children's hospitals typically have video game cartridges that they'll wheel in for patients that are in there long term, and this is one of those games that was able to be played by the kids there. And while it's a little morbid and a little morose, I like to look at it from a positive side of things, where this is a game that was there to give kids that were in a really tough spot joy, and I'm excited to have that in my collection. I think it's really neat to have that in a collection, and it's not something I've really ever seen before. I went through all the NES games that store had, and they didn't have any other ones from Bronson Childlife, so I'm happy to have that one, and it's a little piece of, well, it's a little piece of peace, right? And I think that's kind of cool. All right, this one is the the one with the Absolute Choice rental sticker on it. This is for the NES. I got this from Video Games Monthly, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. This is Monster Party. Now, I already love Monster Party, but this one here, I really enjoy because I love just the ridiculous amount of rental stickers on it. So you have just the general barcode on there that people can scan up at the register to check the game out. There's one inside of the cartridge as well, like behind the actual circuit board, which I think is really weird. I don't really know what that one's for or why it would be there, but it sure does exist. But my favorite, my absolute favorite, is the Video Time sticker on the front. This was a store that was in Kentwood, Michigan, and I love kind of like the old-timey font and the silver and yellow of the sticker. I just think it's beautiful. I am stoked that I have this because I already enjoyed the game, and to get something that just has this kind of cool aesthetic to it as well, I love. I really do think that, and this is going to sound odd, but I'm really thankful that there are so many people out there that don't go for ugly games, that they only collect the ones that are in pristine, perfect condition, which leaves me the opportunity to get stuff like this. Same can be said here for Power Blade, because not only is Power Blade something that I loved as a kid, this is one I actually found at a yard sale here in Michigan. There's a community up north a little bit that does these big, massive yard sales every summer. That's coming up soon, actually. I've got to make plans for that. And this is one, the guy had a ton of NES games, and he was just liquidating everything. And I got this for like $30, which is an absolute steal. Now, granted, there are some visual imperfections to the cartridge. The sticker at the top is absolutely wrecked. And there is a rental sticker on the back from Game Time Inc., which I really love. Like I said, this is one of my favorite NES games, so this was one that I wasn't going to be upset about owning in any condition, but to get something that has that history on it and to get something this good for that good of a deal just because there's a little bit of damage to it is awesome. I'm okay with it. Still plays great, and that's really all that matters. Now, these last two are the big ones. These are the two biggest gets in my collection, I think, where I utilized the ugly games don't matter aspect, because I knew if I paid full price for these, I was going to feel bad. Let's just put it that way. And this is something where I looked at it and I said, I can deal with the fact that there are some visual imperfections to the labels on these games. And this is one that when I picked it up from a local store here, and I knew that this is one I wasn't going to feel bad about. And this is one that I had foolishly sold in the past, and this is one that I've been seeking to get back in my collection. And for a very good price, because of the label damage, I was able to add Chrono Trigger back to my collection. Now, with these close-ups, you can see a lot of the issues on the label here. There is a tear clear down to the cartridge. It looks like there's actually like a little bit of a burn on there as well as some imperfections on the top. But the important thing here is that this is one of the all-time greatest games, and something that, to me, a collection really isn't complete on the SNES without it, unless you're not an RPG fan, in which case, no need to apply here. But it's one that, to me, was something I needed to add back to my collection, but I wasn't willing to spend the amount of money on it that was required. So to find it at a good deal with that imperfection on the label, I was happy to add it and happy to play it again, and just really thrilled to have it. Now, this one is the biggest get in my SNES collection. I've showed this one in the past, and this was because of my buddy Robert from up around Toronto. A friend of his was getting rid of a bunch of games, and he sent me a list of stuff or pictures of stuff that he was getting rid of, and this was in there. And I said, I want that, but I'm not willing to take it for free. The other stuff was given to me just kind of because he didn't want them anymore. And this is one where I was like, that's too big of a game. At least let me pay what I paid for it, which I don't remember what that was now, but it was in 3 digits. And this is one of my all-time favorite video games on the SNES. This is Earthbound. Now, you can clearly see on Earthbound here, there's definitely some visual degradation on the cover, and that's okay, because I don't care, because it is one of my favorite games. There's also some sticker residue and tape residue on it. It had a rough life, and the thing that I look at, and I realize with the stickers and things on here, is like, this used to be a rental game. I wish it still had where it was rented from, because I think that would be fascinating, but to be able to get it for significantly lower than book price, because this guy just wanted to get rid of it in the first place, and I wasn't going to allow that to happen. But to be able to get it and to add it back to my collection as something that I was convinced I was never going to own again. I originally owned the Earthbound big box when I was a teenager, and I foolishly sold it And the day after I sold it, I went back to the store I sold it to because I wanted to buy it back, and it had already sold. So it was something where I kind of chalked it up to that was what it was going to be for me. I was never going to own Earthbound again because it immediately became cost prohibitive to purchase it. But here I am, and I have it again, all because I was willing to take something that didn't look perfect. What are your thoughts on ugly games? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you really enjoyed it, consider subscribing or join the Patreon or channel membership below. And until next time, folks, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.